Okay, everyone. So here we are again at another amazing story on Dare to Fulfill Your Dreams. Everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Susan Cambridge, and this channel is all about sharing wonderful stories and journeys of women who have migrated and the wonderful things that they have done when they have made that transition. So we're going to have some fun, we're going to have some laughter, and we're going to share the stories to inspire women above all. So my amazing guest this evening is Jebunnessa Chapola. I hope I got that correctly. And I'd like to say a very warm welcome here to Dare to Fulfill Your Dreams. Thank you so much for taking the time. So how are you today?
I'm great, and thank you so much, Suzanne, for your wonderful initiative. And March 8th is knocking at the door. So I think it's a perfect and perfect initiative, and I'm honored to be here today. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. So we know this is all about women transitioning from one country to the next. So tell us where you are from and how did you get to Canada, if you can remember. For some people, they were younger, some people were a little older. So tell us about your journey coming to Canada and where you're from.
I born in Bangladesh, and actually I left Bangladesh in 2003 for higher studies in Sweden. So I did my master's degree in social work, and after that I went back home again, and I was working there, and I was facing many integration challenge. Many integration means after having my degree from Sweden, I was looking for my social work related job, and back home I was not happy the job I was having, and also there were some, because of my higher studies I had some exposure, and I faced some challenge to cope with my own country. And if you ask me that what kind of challenge, I would say that as a woman, since I'm from Bangladesh, so always I had to fight for gender justice. And as a Bangladeshi woman and born in a Muslim family, it was not easy. I mean, easy means like in every step, I had to face no. And in every step, it was extremely hard to pursue your dream or pursue your interest, even for higher studies. When I decided to go for, I mean, when I got the opportunity to study in Sweden, it was not easy. I mean, always either family or your community or your dearest persons, um, they didn't encourage me to leave the country. Just
Yes.
I'm a woman. So
Yeah.
after finishing my Swedish degree, I went back home, and again I was facing the same challenge, which was repeating, and I couldn't cope with that. And I started to apply in abroad again, and I got Norwegian government scholarship. And in 2005, I left my home country again. And after coming in Norway, I met my husband. But he was also from Bangladesh, so
Okay,
we
right.
got married. We got
Nice.
married in 2006. So by 2007, our first daughter, she born in US, and our second daughter, she born in 2008 in New Jersey, New York and New Jersey. So it's a long story actually. But when we were in Norway, that time we applied for Canadian immigration, and it took more than 5 years to complete all the process, and you know
Right.
to come to Canada. And first we came in Toronto, and from Toronto it was a big journey actually, from New Jersey to Toronto. Big journey in a sense that we were an international student in Sweden, in Norway, in USA. So as an international student, that story is really deep and complicated, and that is full of challenges. International student
Oh,
lives are really hard and challenging because, let's give you an example. For example, in US, my husband was student, but I was spouse. So by this time, I had my two little daughters,
right,
and as a spouse, I was not allowed to work because he
right,
was an international student. So
right.
he is allowed to work only 20 hours on campus,
Yes.
and um, health insurance was expensive. I mean, everything was difficult. It's hard to explain each and everything. So when we have seen international students' life in Norway and Sweden and even in US, then we were looking for an opportunity to build ourselves so that we can contribute better to our planet. So we were looking for a place where we can live and we can grow together, right?
Right.
So, but at the time, actually, we were not aware of the immigration process. I mean, how does it work and what is this?
Yes.
What is this? What is immigration? We didn't know. I mean, we didn't have any idea.
Yes.
And it's not that that time, I mean, social media was not active the way we are using now, right? And
Right.
we were not connected with our own community people, even with the outer world much. We used to use computer. We had email, that's true, but I mean, the world was not connected,
As the
like
way we
our
are
society.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, right. So it was really hard to make any decision to apply for immigration, but we took the challenge. Online, we just applied, and we were not sure even that because it's 5 years, and we thought, nothing is coming out. But finally, it happened. Finally, we came in Toronto, and when we came in Toronto, we had no idea where is Canada. We had
Right.
no idea where is Toronto, and
Right.
what is the life of immigrants. We had no clue. Just we have to come, we just came, that was the situation with two little daughters. My little daughter, she was only 18 months. I still can remember that from New Jersey we drove all the way to Toronto, and also the transition was in Toronto for 7 to 8 months. And during that time my husband used to apply for his PhD everywhere in this world.
Yes.
So luckily he got the admission in a couple of universities, but we chose to come to University of Saskatchewan
Joanne.
in Saskatoon in 2010 April. So still I can remember that 18 months old baby. I mean, I call her baby still.
Yeah.
They were like twin. I mean, 1.5 year apart. So it was so hard to drive from Toronto to Saskatchewan. It took
Right.
months to come. And
Yes.
you can imagine in our small Dodge car, that was our first car. As an international student, we bought it from US. I think we paid around $1,500. I'm talking about 2008. So at that time, $1,500, it was also, it's a big thing.
Yes.
And it's
Yes. So
such
you
a
arrived in Saskatchewan in what year?
2010 April.
To
So
April 2010. And
yeah,
I could well imagine the transition. So you've gone from Norway to the US and then to Toronto. And then, I mean, and all that time, the challenges, the cultural differences. And what about the weather? The weather. I know we don't like to talk about that.
yeah, since we had a bit exposure from Norway and Sweden, so I knew
Right.
what's the meaning of snow. I knew what's the meaning of European cold,
Yes,
and also
yes,
since my first daughter she born in New York, so I
right.
have experience.
Yes.
I had little experience, but Saskatchewan weather it was really
It
shocking.
was different.
It was not only different. I mean, the blizzard. I mean, I still can remember
Yes,
first week of our arrival, we experienced blizzard, and
yes.
it is something to experience, and it is really terrible.
I
And I
know.
still can remember it was so shocking, and it was so hard to survive because we were not prepared for that kind of snow or
Absolutely.
cold. So I
Yes,
still remember my children didn't have proper winter gear. We didn't have winter boots and proper. I mean, proper means for Saskatchewan cold, right?
yes.
So because it's -45, -50,
I
-60.
know, I know. But you
It was
made
hard.
it.
We
So
made
tell
it
me, so
through.
after you made that transition, you already had two girls and stuff. So you've gone through so much. And I know that your husband was still trying to pursue, his goals and everything else. So what was going through your mind at this time? So you told yourself, okay, we're in Canada and I'm here. What is the next dream and aspiration for you at this time? What would you like? What were you focusing on at that time in terms of adjusting? What do you do? Where do you go? How you navigated through that?
Then lot to say, because in Bangladesh, when I was studying in the university, I mean, when I was pursuing my higher studies, simultaneously, I was how to say, I mean, I was working with electronic media. So I was a professional broadcaster in Bangladesh radio and Bangladesh television, and I was a singer. I was an enlisted artist in Bangladesh television. So what happened after coming here in abroad, when I was an international student, I was only focusing on study. It was beyond imagination to pursue your artistic growth.
You mean in terms of your singing and your part of your culture as well,
Exactly.
right? Yes.
Exactly. Because what I learned over the years, it's close to 20 years now I'm in abroad, right? So, um, past years, it was good, it was bad, I would say, because the main challenge I faced that I couldn't pursue my cultural continuity.
Ah,
Until I
yes.
come in Canada, in Europe, as an international student, I didn't have all those networks, or I didn't have those community informations, or I would say that those opportunities available to keep myself alive as an artist besides my higher studies, right? And
Yes.
also back home, I was working with UNDP, United
Yes.
Nations organizations, and also several non-profit organizations. So it was, I would say that the first challenge what I faced, and also my husband faced, to pursue your career, as I told you before, that to get an admission for PhD, I think he has submitted more than 50 applications, right? And even he was not happy. Happy means that we always deal with insecurity, right?
Yes.
After applying like 40 to 50 applications, even still you cannot sleep, right?
Right. Right.
And as a young mom, as I told you before, that my children's age difference was like twin children, so we were dealing with poverty. The
Yes.
first thing that you have to face, financial crisis. Even
Yes.
I was not in a position to work, and childcare is expensive. It's
Right.
very
Right.
expensive.
Yes.
So as a woman, I'm stuck.
Yes, and I could very well imagine what that did for you, knowing that you were already so involved. You had a singing career. Part of your whole culture is still with you, and so now you want to, because I'm interested in that singing part, which is part of your culture, navigating that into an already difficult situation and pursuing your career, and you felt stuck. So what was one of the first signs of unraveling, if I may ask? What helped you to start unraveling that to become as successful as you are today?
Honestly, I was stuck.
You were?
I was stuck. I was stuck. I mean, I had to continue that because the reason is that I had my social work degree from Sweden at that time. I had my MPhil degree from Women and Gender Studies. I mean, Gender and Development degree from Norway.
Right,
Already, I had my higher studies degree in my hand, and
right,
those degrees, when I was earning that time, also I was struggling because that time I got married, as I told you before. In
right,
Norway, I became mom in the middle of my MPhil degree.
right,
So, I felt like I am prepared
right,
for work life,
right.
right? So that was the time to bloom. That was the time to build your career, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
at that time, I had to be stuck in a sense that I had
With the
to
children.
with the children, and also with the system, because you know that in Canada it's a big problem that your foreign credentials are not being accepted.
Right,
So
absolutely.
I was a ready social worker, but I couldn't pursue my social work career here because
Exactly.
those degrees were from Europe,
Yes, and
right?
I know that's one of the struggles a lot of women face. I mean, we are looking at women's issues here and trying to progress. And I know that's one of the key issues, having to the lack of childcare and the ability to have childcare and still pursue their career. And sometimes you have to change lanes or change gears from where you are into something else. So you have all this accreditation. So what did you do eventually to unstick yourself from where you
I
felt like you were not moving?
No, I was not moving. I was not in a position to move because my husband was stuck. because he came here with his US degree, so I would say that he was in a better position than me, right?
Yes.
So, but when he was looking for a professional job, but that was also difficult, right? So he had to do several survival jobs, and here these survival jobs are manual job, and
Yes.
after doing all those jobs, if you need to go to school, or if you need to do any brain work, brain
Yes.
function, that was the
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
So then, but I couldn't accept that either. I was stuck, I understood. But he's also stuck and he cannot pursue his professional career. I couldn't accept that.
Yes.
So in a way, I thought that since I'm stuck naturally because of my maternity, I have an excuse. We have
Yes.
an excuse.
Because of the children.
Exactly. But for his skin color, or because of his accent, or because he doesn't have Canadian education, that's why
Yes.
he cannot pursue his career. It was painful. It was
Yes.
painful, and also we were at our 30 plus at that time, right? So we are, I mean, age-wise, we are not too young, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have created our family already. Anyhow, um, you have to maintain your family. You have to raise your children
Yes.
in a good
So did
way.
you have to reach out to other women's group? Did you have to now find an organization to help you?
Not
What
really.
was
Uh,
your
just
next move?
Yeah, it's a good question. A good question, because we, like, I'm a South Asian woman, right? So usually we women, I mean South Asian women, we have some cultural barrier, language barrier, and also I would say confidence barrier. Though
Yes.
I had several international degrees in my pocket at that time, but I would say that I was not confident to move forward again. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know why. Maybe it's because of my skin color. I would say, first of all,
You
skin color.
felt a little a little, maybe a little frustrated, I would say. You felt you had I don't want to say blocks, but you, because of feeling stuck, that took away a bit of your self-confidence.
No,
Um,
I would say that we born and brought up in a colonized country, right? So
right.
we always had fear of English language. We
Mhm.
always had fear to mingle with white community. We always had, I would say that, um, again, fear to integrate with this white culture.
Okay. Okay. So
So
that was a challenge in itself, being
yes,
sure enough that you would fit in.
exactly. So always, we had a feeling that we are just a misfit for this community, right? And
Right.
on the top, my fear was that I'm a mom.
Yes.
So I mean, wherever I go, I need to take them with me because we didn't have any extended family here. We
Right.
didn't have any community friend even, because when we came here, I told you that we didn't know where is Canada. We didn't know where
Yes.
is Saskatoon,
Yeah.
right?
So the
So
lack of support, you didn't have a support system and friends and stuff like that.
exactly.
So it seems as though eventually you broke out, because I've known quite a bit of your success. So at what point in time do you get into that, I don't want to say comfort zone, but you felt that you were moving? What was your first point of opportunity that says, okay, I think I'm making progress?
Right, right. I can remember that in Saskatoon there is an organization. Its name is International Women of Saskatoon, IWS. So I was googling when I was stuck. Most of the time I do not have any time, to think about
Yes.
myself or to pursue my any interest. So when the children used to sleep, I used to Google here and there. So I found a social work prof that who was involved in that organization. So then I started to write here and there that who I
Right.
am and what I'm doing, and what is my interest to pursue. So International Women of Saskatoon, I would say that this women's organization gave me the platform
Right.
to gain some confidence. And when
Right.
I started to do some networking with some professionals in Saskatoon City, so then I found a prof from social work department from University of Regina. So
Right.
she is from Trinidad. So when
She's
I
from where? Trinidad?
Trinidad, yes.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
Yeah, I know. So she gave me courage and she welcomed me and she said that yes, join us, our
Right.
organization. If you want to volunteer, just volunteer. And I still can remember after 1 year, I think in 2010, I started to be connected, and in 2011, she invited me to join the board of International Women of Saskatoon.
Wow.
Yeah, so as a board of director, when I joined that organization, you won't believe, Susan, the way I'm talking now, I didn't know how to talk at that time.
I know you were still working your way in, but that platform certainly allowed you to take some leap of faith, and you started to
Definitely.
progress from there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you, with all the background that you already had, what were some of the great offerings that you were able to bring into that organization, taking into consideration your accreditation you already had and a bit of your culture? Because I know that part is very important to you as an artist, right? So how were you able to merge that in?
Actually, I would say that this kind of organization, if you can be connected with, it's not that you will get some direct benefit, but women can gain their confidence back.
Okay,
And social networking, it gives you so much power to survive. And social networking can help you, or can lead you or direct you to find your um, desired position or desired, um, I would say that first of all, informations would be available. You would
right,
be able to open up your mind and eyes,
right,
and that entire network and entire platform will help you to think that you are not dead. You know,
right,
the
right.
way I was experiencing, I felt like this is it. I wouldn't be able to pursue anything. And that's what happened also. Though I was connected with many organizations at that time, but I had to stay home almost 4 years, more than four
Right,
years, right?
right,
Because of lack of childcare support.
right.
And also by this time, my husband, when he started his PhD, so it was like more challenging situation started,
Yes, yes,
because then I lost my hand. Who will give me a hand for childcare at home,
right. It's true. Right,
right?
right. So as a woman, you really started to feel as though you were losing a part control of navigating your own way. Slowly but surely, you started to
Yeah,
feel that way.
yeah. But now I would like to give you some hope that how I came out from my
Right,
own
right,
challenging box. So I realized that I'm not in a position to do 9 to 5 job
right.
because of childcare. Because I studied a part-time job with the University Research Center, but the money I used to earn, I had to give all the money to the childcare. Then,
Yes,
I realized what's the
we
meaning
all
of
went through
it,
that. We
right?
experienced that, I know.
Yes. So I was just making my mind what to do, and I found actually there was no door open for me because childcare, you know,
Yes,
it's so important. And as a young mom, new mom in a foreign land, I gave birth to daughters in a foreign land without any extended family support, and nobody came to visit me
yes,
when I was pregnant and when I gave birth, and ultimately no community. I mean, I was not in a position to build a community, to build any connection. So
yes,
all the way, actually, I had a very isolated life.
yes, yes,
My depression level was also very high, right? My postpartum depression was high, and reading home is like, it's like whole day, I mean, full time, more than full time job that I was doing just as a mom, right?
yes.
So even if I go for a walk, i I cannot, I feel like um, it's not my time.
It was not enough. You
It
need
was,
to be with people. You need to feel that you're growing. You need to feel that you are constantly developing yourself one way or the other.
exactly. And also, you are just holding your child on your chest and you are taking shower. You
Yes,
are you are cooking and your child is on your chest. You
yes,
are, even you are on the commode. You are on
yes,
the commode, but child is
yes,
on your chest, and I had
yes,
my two children on my chest constantly.
yes,
So
yes,
so it was a huge challenge for me. And then I realized that actually I'm a total misfit to do anything,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Then I forgot about earning money and to contribute to the family. I just wanted to keep myself alive.
Yes.
So what happened in from 2011, we used to live in a student residence in University of Saskatchewan. So that was the hope. I mean, that building itself, because
Yes.
that building created some hope, because that was the residence for international students, where I started to take some initiative and I started to develop my leadership skill,
Right.
with those children, and that's a student community. So that was my strength at that time.
Right.
So what I started to do, there was some land in front of our university residence. So I took the help of my husband, because that time I was not um, a student of University of Saskatchewan. I was a spouse, right?
Right.
And my husband, he was a student of environment and sustainability.
Right.
So by taking his help, we took an initiative to start a community garden.
A community garden.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
So at the beginning, when we took that initiative, there were only 20 plots, but later it became, until to the 2019, it became 120 plots,
Right.
right? So that initiative, that community initiative, helped me to take breath,
Right. So it built
because
your confidence. You were
mhm,
able to grow, you were able to share, and you were able to build a community around this initiative that you had.
right,
Perfect.
and also the work I was doing in the land, children were not my barrier at the time, because by this time, they can shovel, they can play with ladybugs, and there was a park, so I can leave them at least for half an hour or 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So that 10 minutes and 15 minutes was my time.
Right, right. So you literally plowed your way through. I mean, pun
Exactly,
intended. We're talking about
exactly,
land, we're talking about gardening, and you were able to just start to blossom once again.
exactly. And then I realized that I'm dying without singing. And then I realized I'm dying without doing any cultural activity. What I have done, since my childhood, when I was only 3 years
Right.
old.
And this was another very important part of your personal lifestyle, your culture, your singing, your ability to get back into
Yes,
that zone again. You were missing it. It was a part of you.
yes, yes. And when I was in Suris Hall, I mean that university residence, that time my children were around 3, 4, right? So what I'm not, but I was not sure how to come back to my singing life, because with these little children, again, barrier is that I cannot focus. I cannot sing.
Yes.
Many
Yeah.
years I couldn't sing. So when I found that some words are coming in their mouth, so that was my advantage, and that was that opportunity I took. I started to teach my own children
Ah, to sing.
just to sing at home, right? I was
Oh,
teaching my language. So I
wow.
started I started to teach them my language, and with them I started to sing.
That's amazing. I would
I,
have never thought that you were able to harness them to continue to nurture what you know, but it makes perfect sense.
yeah, yeah. So I was teaching them, and I'm coming back to myself. That was, but it's not that smartly I have created this strategy. It came naturally. I mean, naturally I realized, yes, this is my time, and this will help me to come back to myself. And slowly what I have done, and when I started to teach my language and my song to my children, there was another challenge, that they were not interested, because just two children, they're seeing this mom whole day, and again they're singing with their mom. They were kind of bored, right? So then what I have started to do, I tried to involve and invite some community children to join us
Ah,
to sing together.
nice.
So besides the community garden during summer, besides the community garden, I used to take my harmonium, I used to sing with community children. That's the way my children, they also, they became interested, because they made friends, they started to
Wow.
sing, they started to learn
Wow.
the Bangla language, and I didn't, without realizing even, they started to learn the language.
And it all started to grow.
Yes,
That is such an amazing way of really getting it out there. I mean, I wondered about it. That's why I don't always like to know too much in the background. But now that you're actually telling me that through your children, and then you were able to go out in the community, and here you have totally able to share your cultural experiences and your talent in the community. So there's a self of belonging, but there's also there's also the sense of sharing this
yes,
experience
yes,
with a diverse community. And I think that
exactly,
is very important, and that is key to diversity and integration.
exactly. And what happened, through those I would say those were all survival initiative. Those were all community engagement initiative without knowing, right?
Yes, yes,
But through those informal teaching and informal, I would say that learning space that I have created for the children, that was a co-learning space.
yes,
Anyhow, parents were there, right? So we were learning from each other, and also
right,
since we were involved with that community gardener community, right? So
yes,
so that also gave me different directions to think about. For example, around the community garden premise, I have met many indigenous scholars, and
right,
also University of Saskatchewan scholars and faculty members and indigenous elders. So that learning started from that community garden. So
right, right.
so I would say that my learning curve has been enriched through those little community initiatives and community work.
Right. And that's a key thing I mean, we all come through as immigrants and so on, and we realize one of the best ways of getting involved into the community is either volunteer, some kind of initiative, but it always involves sharing each other's experiences. And I know when I read a bit about your background, you have really taken up the challenge of understanding the walk of life for Indigenous women. And tell me a little bit about how you became so passionate about that.
Exactly. I'm just lingering a little bit more about my story. So those two community initiatives that I thoroughly enjoyed and learned so much. And apart from that, in 2012, I took another community initiative that was community radio program. Since
Okay, community
since I
radio.
had since I had my broadcasting expertise, right, from Bangladesh.
Right,
So I tried to pursue that interest too, because as I told you before, that I was struggling to keep myself alive as an artist, right?
right,
So through that community radio program, I have learned so much. In that radio show, I used to invite community leaders, community scholars, community singers, dancers, and also indigenous elders, indigenous sisters and brothers, right? So you can see that I was connected with community garden
right,
uh, group of people, community radio, and cultural activities. I mean, artist community. So
right.
somehow
So now
I had
you had a media platform to
exactly.
embrace all of it. So this community radio was another initiative of yours that you started off in your own studio, in your own space.
Yes, yes.
Good,
But you know what? In that community radio space, also, what I used to do, I used to invite community people. Like 10 to
right,
12 participants were always there. There was an invited speaker, a couple of invited speakers. So, for example, we used to learn together what's the meaning of reconciliation, right? And what's the meaning of land-based education, and how we can be benefited from this land-based
right,
education.
right,
And also we used to talk about, for example, food sovereignty. So a scholar or a prof, maybe she or he came to the studio, and like bunches of people were in the studio. So what I'm trying to say, that the studio was my classroom.
right.
I turned, yeah,
A
I
classroom
turned,
on air.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, a classroom about what? A classroom about to talk about my challenges. The talk I'm
yes.
having with you, this kind of discussion we had several times in my radio show.
Wow.
The reason I was doing it, because sometimes I was not sure that is it only my challenge, or how does it feel to hear other people's challenges, right?
Yes.
Many immigrant women used to come. They used to talk about their own challenges and how they solved those problems. So it
Right.
was a holistic, I would say, that knowledge that we used to practice together.
Right.
So I have learned so much from the community people, from the community women, right? So all of these experience, it actually gave me new food for thought. And then I start in 2014. I started my PhD because by this time my husband, he was at the end of his PhD, and by this time my children were a little bit matured enough. So then I went back to school. So I started my PhD. So in PhD, usually you have to submit a proposal that what you want to do as a research
Right.
project. So I was not sure at the time actually what I want to do because I had no idea what's the meaning of PhD. I mean, how hard it is, what kind of research you can do or you are allowed to do. So over the years, my coursework helped me to understand actually what can I do. And then actually in 2000, around 16, 2017, I
Yeah.
chose to do my research on my own life.
Okay. So your research would have been on your transition, everything
Yes.
that you had gone through. And
Exactly, and
so that,
not only that, that I am trying to focus on how these informal learning spaces helped me to learn and
right.
helped me to cope, helped me to create some co-learning collaborative spaces, and
Right.
how it empowered me, and also maybe it was empowering also for the community people,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yes.
then I realized that it's called autoethnography. So I thought that why don't I think about writing about autoethnography and also this collaborative learning, because
Right.
over the years what I have learned that though we are coming here with a lot of challenges, but ultimately because of so many I would say that systemic barriers, so many
Yes.
structural barrier, we women or we newcomer immigrant people do not know how to break those barriers,
Yes.
right? First of all, and second thing is that I realized that there is um, I mean racism is everywhere. So we live also in the same world that where we have had to face many racism challenges too. And and when I was involving with indigenous community, and before that I should tell you that in my Norway study I did my research on Bangladeshi indigenous women.
Okay.
That's the way I had exposure that in all over the world how indigenous people are being oppressed, and how
Right.
we often do not talk about indigenous people's well-being, right? So
Right.
but the history of Canada. So when I involved with community garden and land-based education, I started to learn Canadian history,
History. Right.
right? So and it's full of oppression against indigenous people. and
Right.
and also as an immigrant or newcomer person, I have seen that there is a huge gap between indigenous community and this cross-cultural newcomer
Right. The cross
community,
cultural.
right?
Absolutely.
And what I have learned over the years through these community garden, that we need to first that we need to learn first that who we are,
Absolutely.
where we are coming from, and why. You know,
Yes.
so these are the three questions that I'm also dealing with my PhD, because I feel like to know who I am, it will take your entire life to know who I am.
Yes. Yes.
Because if in my education I have learned the meaning of decolonization, meaning of reconciliation. That's what I'm trying to
Right.
learn.
Right.
So this decolonization, it's a lifelong process to learn
Right.
that
Right.
actually who we are. So and
Right.
if we are not connected with the land, if we are not connected with the land rights or language rights or your identity rights, then it will create huge problem of our understanding and of our integration with the
Yes. Yes.
current society. And even with your back home, there are a lot of issues around that those are connected directly connected with the land. And even in Bangladesh, I know that Bangladeshi indigenous community people are being oppressed too.
Yes. Yes.
So when I started to learn about this indigenous worldview here in Canada, I started to reconnect my knowledge and my upbringing back home too. Because
Right.
we are actually living in a colonial system. We got colonized education. Our mind is colonized too. So it's really
Yes.
hard for us to understand actually who we are.
Exactly. So let me just kind of tie back in now the whole process of understanding the Indigenous women, you coming from another background and then another culture, and then coming into Canada. What was the response like? Because you would have literally taken up the mantle of having discussions with the Indigenous community, and probably more so the women. What was the response like, knowing that, hey, you traveled from so far and wide, yet you have come here to try to understand our needs, try to understand the struggles that we have. So what has that been like?
Yeah, very important question, Susan. Thank you so much for asking this. As I told you before that, um, I left my home country when I was dreaming for gender justice, right? I mean, as a South Asian woman who born in a Muslim family, yeah, who grew up in a Muslim community, after 6 o'clock, I mean, after evening 6 o'clock, I was not safe to go out. And even 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, I was not safe to go by myself anywhere, right? So it's always like my parents used to send a bodyguard with us. You know,
Oh, I see.
that's the way I grew up. And in
Right.
the university, in the school or college, nobody is assured that you will go back to home, you know,
Okay. Okay.
with a without any wounded body, right? What I mean,
Right.
you know. So I when I came here in Canada and even in Europe, when I was an international student, I really loved the way women are enjoying the liberty compared to Bangladesh, of course.
Right.
So I enjoyed that part, and I started to think that yes, I'm a human being now, that I can go anywhere by myself. There is no restriction, right?
No fear,
I
no
enjoyed that
restriction.
part. I enjoyed that part, but again, when I, as a researcher, when I started to learn more, then I realized, no, this world also has violence
Similar
against women,
problems.
right?
Yes,
They are
yes.
also having several problems. Women are also facing problems here. So in Canada, when I immigrated, I didn't know much about Indigenous community. But when I involved with the community in activities, I met many Indigenous sisters there, and often I used to hear about missing and murder Indigenous women issue, right?
Right,
And that still goosebumps me. And the
right.
way the Indigenous sisters, they used to cry and they used to share their stories in the community events,
Yes,
in my radio show, and also in mainstream radio programs or television programs, we are hearing
right,
all those stories and all those voices, and I realized that that voice is not a different voice than me.
right. So
So
what are some of the things that you were able to, what is, what have you what have you shared with them to help them
I don't want to use this word help. I would say that I'm
or
not in a
empower
position
them?
to help. Yes, I'm not in a position to help anyone, I would say, but
Yes.
only I would say that we can show our solidarity. I,
Okay.
right, right, because the history they are carrying, I felt like it is my responsibility to to hear their stories first, and then
Right,
if they have time, of course, I would be happy to share our stories too,
right,
right?
right.
So
Yes,
that's the way I started to think. And since they have welcomed us here in this new land, this is new Indigenous land, and
right,
I would say that they gave us the permission, or they gave us the um, hug. I would say hugs. The way they are welcoming us, I, as a newcomer, I feel like we should be grateful for that, and I'm really grateful for that. And
right,
on the top, I was feeling that how, I don't know. I mean, we always want to pay back, right? But
right.
I felt like I'm not in a position to pay back. What to pay back, I didn't know at that time. But
Yes,
over the years, I lived in Saskatoon 10 years. So these 10 years, I have learned that this payback is so hard. So
yes,
I would say that my intake is that I have taken the responsibility to learn more about this indigenous community and
Right.
to build the bridge,
Right.
with all the immigrant community, I mean cross-cultural community and indigenous community. So,
Right.
so that's, I would say that that would be my life contribution, and that knowledge, this building solidarity, building bridge knowledge, it is empowering.
Right. And speaking of which, well, we are on the verge of International Women's Day, and you have certainly shared so much with us. You have shared your struggles, you have shared the initiatives that you've taken, your support for community and for women and children. So where we are today on this platform, in this time, celebrating International Women's Day, what are some of your thoughts in terms of women, where we are at, what we are working towards? What would you like to see?
I would say that it is important to understand all the intersectionalities that we have, right? And we need to understand um, who we are. So now my understanding about myself, if you ask me, I would say that I'm a mother, and I'm a friend, I'm a wife, I am a student, I'm a community activist, I'm a singer, I'm a sister. So we have to understand all of these identities.
Yes.
And once we will think deeply, look at deeply of my upbringing process, of my learning process, and also I think for me it was very important to focus on the informal learning spaces. Usually, we run after big degrees. We always run after university or high school, what they are teaching us, but
Yes.
we often neglect our home-based education, what our parents are giving us, what our
Right.
ancestors are trying to give us.
Right.
For example, I all the way I missed my grandparents. Like I haven't seen my grandparents. They have died when I was too little, right? So I
Right.
always feel like that when they died, all those stories, all those knowledge died.
Right.
I'm deprived of, right? So,
Right.
so the indigenous elders that I got connected with, I always felt that here is the knowledge. I mean,
Right.
the knowledge can enlighten your soul. The knowledge can really build the solidarity and can make you more, how to say, I mean, um, more kind,
Right.
and more, enlightening,
So
enlightening
then you're
knowledge.
saying basically that it is very, very important to maintain and sustain your cultural heritage, your cultural background, what all that makes you when you are integrating, in a diverse society as we are, as equally as it is important to learn from others.
Of course. But what simultaneously what I was trying to say that we need to also learn the decolonizing perspective. For example, the history I'm carrying, it is being colonized too. So we have
Yes,
to develop those critical lenses to understand that which one. I mean, how to decolonize my own history too. Because if
yes,
I cannot I mean, unpack my own history, I wouldn't be able to understand who I am,
right,
right? So
absolutely,
that's very important, because that's what colonization, already made that happen. That they have contaminated our mind, and it's really hard to pull those strings out that what you do not need,
right,
right, from your history or from your upbringing. So what I'm trying to say that we have to learn to decolonize ourselves, to decolonize our, I mean, surroundings, and
right,
decolonize our learnings. I mean, decolonize, maybe it sounds a little bit hard. So decolonize means, relearning,
right, relearning.
unlearning, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
these are really important, and also it's a lifelong process. It's not that you got the degree and you have learned what is the meaning of decolonization. We
right,
have to learn to decolonize myself until I die. That's the way I feel. And also, we have to grow as a learner so that
Yes.
we can learn continuously.
Yes, and have an
Right?
appreciation
Yes.
for what others may go through. So you are a mother, a singer, someone who takes initiative, a supporter of women and their issues, take cognizance of colonization, what it does within your community, but more importantly, for yourself as an individual. So what you have done so much, you've won many awards. I've read quite a bit about your initiatives and the things that you have acquired, and so deservingly so. So what's next for you as a woman in the capacity that you are? What's ahead? What's the next challenge or the next step for you in terms of just being you? I mean, I wouldn't say whether it's in academics, whether it's in the art field. What's next for you? You tell us.
It's a very hard question, Susan. And I know that you are a struggler woman, talented woman, and I do not know, your story deeply, but I know a little bit about your story, and I have so much respect for your work and for your initiative. And you
Thank
do not
you.
know that how empowering and how encouraging to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Where are you going to telecast this? I have no idea. But I do not mind even that if you do not post it in Facebook, if you do not use it for any purpose. But I would like to carry this moment. You
Yes,
know, it's so precious. It's very
it
precious
is.
moment that you have gifted me today. So if you ask me that what is my dream is to be a good human being. And
To
my
be a,
good human being,
oh, you are
a
certainly.
passionate, compassionate human being who really cares for each other and who really can dedicate herself to build the bridge, to make the relationship. That is, I would say that is my goal.
That
To
is absolutely
to
wonderful, and
create care, to create for people, to create some space to share those care. What I feel like today's world, in today's world, this care is missing.
it is, it is, it is. And I mean, I can see that it's coming straight from your heart, because when I see you talk about it, I see your eyes smile, your eyes light up, because I can tell that it's coming from the heart. So I want to say thank you so very much for taking this time out to share your story, share your journey. And I know when this is posted, it is going to resonate with so many people, because I know that these stories will help other women along the way. And it is important to know the journey. The journey, the story is your legacy, the work that you have done, and the work that you continue to do. So thank you so very much. I always concerned about pronouncing your name properly, but Jebunnessa, is that it?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Chapola.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I got it correct. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and weekend, and continue the good work and the blessings along the way. And I'm sure we'll talk again. We know that we have common interests in festivals and doing great things. So we will absolutely be talking again. So thank you so much again for being with us today.
Thank you, Susan, for giving me the opportunity. You are wonderful and amazing person.
Thank you. Thank you so much.